Okay, we are live. Hi, guys. Olga, thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting. Hello.
What's going on? What's going on in Moscow?
Well, actually, I live in Moscow region now, which is called Moskovskaya Oblast. So it's like a small bunch of small towns outside on the outskirts of Moscow. So here it's pretty calm and peaceful.
Let's talk about Elementaree. Why did you start the startup? What is your motivation and what is the storytelling on the startup?
So first of all, what do? Elementaree is a leading meal kit service in Russia. Basically, what we do is we deliver pre-chopped, pre-cooked ingredients together with a recipe to our clients. We are B2C, mostly online, but also with some developments in offline retail. Why I started this? Well, I had, on the one hand, the idea that I wanted to become business owner. So for me, it was important to start my own company, to build product, to build team, and to build something which I would sort of feel some connection to, and also which brings some good for people in their day-to-day lives on the one hand. But on the other hand, I also, coming from strategic consultancy as my background, I saw a lot of inefficiencies in the food chain, in value chain, and just for instance, around 50% of food is actually wasted currently in the world. So there is a lot of potential to build more efficient models of how to consume food and how to match food and producers with consumers. So on the sort of background, Elementaree is also trying to build a better value chain, which wastes less food and which also brings more personalized solutions for the clients.
And what is your next steps? What is your pipeline? And actually, how the product want to stay with your target audience? What is your communication strategy, or maybe what you to do with community during the COVID?
If we talk about our target audience, we mostly target women. I would say that Russia is pretty patriarchal. I don't know the right English word, but pretty much women are those who cook, and this is sort of a tradition, but also for some of women also kind of a burden and some responsibility which they take in the family. And so but it's also actually important that most women in Russia work. So I think actually the percentage is even higher than in US. I think more than 70% of women in their work age actually do work. So they combine household together with the full-time employment. So that brings us to the idea that it's actually worth efforts to spend to help these women save time. So this is what we in Elementaree help them to do, but also deliver best results for the family. So that's why I think more than 70 or maybe around 80% of our clients are actually those women who cook for the family. It can be just her and husband, or it can be a bunch of kids and maybe some elder parents. And then in terms of our communication strategy, so far we've been focusing on solely online communication. We are pretty heavily present in social networks, mainly on Facebook, Instagram platform. We're also exploring TikTok at the moment a lot. Why is that? It's just because as meal kits is sort of this new product which needs to be explained, because especially in Russia, it's not really common sense that somebody chops carrots and somebody picks the recipe and somebody cuts the meat and brings all these ingredients in the precise portions to your doorstep. So we actually need to build understanding of the product and understanding of why it could save me time and it could bring me some joy. So that's why social networks has been our sort of main channel to communicate with our customers.
Interesting. And what's going on with influencers? Maybe it should be like the celebrities, or
If we're talking about celebrities, I think at least so far it hasn't been our main focus, because I think somehow in Russia celebrities usually show their life where there is pretty much no kitchen, so they don't cook, or they have some special people who cook. So we are for those who have kitchen and who are not afraid to show them, to show this kitchen.
Okay. And what is the most challenging for you personal and for your team right now? And what's going on with COVID? How it's look like for the next maybe 2 to 3 years?
Well, so on the one hand, COVID has obviously brought some very positive developments to our business, with a lot of people staying at home and a lot of people needing new ways to cook, because they have to do it more often as they don't go to work, or they work now from a distance. On the other hand, we all understand that COVID has and is currently bringing a lot of economic hardships for the population. And I think just recently I saw some statistics that real income of Russian households actually decreased in 2020. So we are not seeing any sort of rosy environment in the coming 2 or 3 years. That's why we are looking to increase our, I would say, value segment, where we deliver value affordable meal kits. We're also looking into some new segments and some new geographies. We're looking to expand retail, and hopefully we'll do it this year. So there is a lot of actually going on, and thankfully we have our team who has been together for quite a long time, so we didn't have so much difficulties understanding each other from a distance, and currently hoping that we will be able to grow the business a lot this year.
Mm-hmm. And what about the competition?
Competition in meal kits in Russia has been quite a bumpy ride, I would say, because there were times where there were dozens of competitors on the market with a lot of new entrants. Then I think economy played its role, and a lot of them died or just closed the business. There was one which was bought by our local Google, which is Yandex. But then Yandex actually also closed this business. And
Why?
now,
Why? What's going on? Because it was like my first question. Do you think it is possible for any food technology startup to become like a mega player, like in your area? Maybe it should be something like the impossible food, for the exit strategy for your investors, and how it look like the in, I don't know, like the guys like the Sberbank or maybe Yandex, they're looking for right now something for the food.
I think in terms of exit strategy for investors, meal kits actually have shown very diverse buyers. So if we look globally, there are examples when different FMCG companies buy meal kits. For example, recently Nestle acquired Freshly, would be a good example.
Yeah.
Then we see examples when big retail buys meal kits, also in US, in France, for example. And then we see some examples, for example, in Russia, when big tech like Yandex buys meal kits. So why is that? I think it's because meal kit is this very complex business with some parts of the business, meaning the product itself, coming from FMCG, because practically speaking, you have to know how to operate with food, and you have to have your own factory, warehouse, and a lot of operations around food. So that's FMCG. You have to build logistics and channel to your customers. So it's basically like retail. And then it's also tech related, because it's all online product with some personalization features like big tech. So that's why I think these are the three key types of players which are who are typically interested in the meal kit companies. But then I think it comes really to particular company and its stage of development, when and how these companies are acquired. And some see IPOs. HelloFresh is successfully trading on the market, so that's also a great example that it can be independent.
Interesting. And what do you think? What are the skills needed for the unicorn founder, or maybe one of the top entrepreneurs in food industry? What do you think?
Well, I think in food, first of all, food business is a very cost related. So I think you have to be really rigorous in terms of your COGS and in terms of building your unit economics. So I think only those teams who are really
really great in finance. Yeah.
I don't think I think finance is just a way to sort of show it nicely, but deep down, I think you have to be very into operations to run a successful food business. Then I think for a successful founder, it's very important to be able to collect and to build a team, because you cannot do it alone. I think the sooner you understand it, the better. And third, I think it's also, you have to be really strategic about how you build the business when you fundraise, and how you really see your path into 2-3 years, and be very cautious about slowing down in terms of either growth or not reaching the targets in terms of profitability, because time really is very fast, and sometimes I'm like, oh my God, another month's passed and we haven't really done what we plan to do. So that could be a sign that some changes are needed or some resources have to be added. So I think founders should be very alert in terms of resources and money or people or whatever, which have to be added to the business to sort of reach the next stage.
What is your superpower as an entrepreneur?
My superpower? Well, I think I never give up. That's the only one. I don't have any other.
And maybe it should be short advice, something about fundraising during the COVID.
I actually think that I think the first advice is it's a good time to think about your cash flow rather than your top line. And I would think that it's good to have 1.5 or ideally 2 years of your burn rate in the bank. And I would also give advice to think about break-even, because for us, for example, we are pursuing the break-even strategy at the moment. But I think if you are sort of break-even and if you understand how you're going to grow, then I think it's actually easy to find money now, because we see that there is a lot of money in the market. It's just the question of that this money, once projects, at least in Russia, that's definitely not the US story, projects which are profitable.
And what do you see as the most important single trend right now in food industry, in global and in Russia too? Maybe
single most important trend. Well, I think as for Russia, I think the biggest trend we're seeing now is, unfortunately, people getting poor and everybody going into lower segment, with the key players, key retailers building their discount models first time in Russia, and a lot of online players going into more affordable products and goods. And if we are talking about food globally, then I would say that this is way more ambitious and innovative, because we see this trend into alternative meats and alternative products, which might not be sort of very big now, but at least in terms of money and interest shown from different players, is definitely a play which is gonna play out.
And beyond next 15 years, for example, maybe it should be something there after the COVID and after the pandemic, because it's look like there's something like the new biotech technologies in food industry.
Oh, sure. I think that's also a good niche. I think so far we're having difficulties with it just because of the price. But I think the biggest debate in food is around how to provide food for this growing population in 10, 20 years, given that it has to be affordable, and given that the ecological situation is not getting better, it's getting worse. So we have to somehow balance price, ecology, and provide still everybody with some food.
And maybe it should be something for the impact and sustainable goals. What do you think? In general.
Well, yeah, I think that sustainable, that's what I'm saying when I'm in the ecological situation. So it's not getting better. So that's why, obviously, if we're looking into something which provides food for the fastly growing population, it has to be cautious in terms of environment and sustainability, because just otherwise it will not be practically possible to feed all these people and be sure that we still live on Earth and don't need to immigrate to Mars, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think there is the best investment opportunity right now? Let's back to because I was so excited because you studied in Harvard and actually you experienced so amazing. Yeah, let's talk about investment opportunities. What is your advice for the investors? Actually, they should invest in Elementaree.
Well, I have to make a disclaimer because I'm definitely not spending too much time on studying investment opportunities at the moment. What I see being in Moscow, I think it's definitely an opportunity to explore export-oriented businesses which can use the cheaper infrastructure and cheaper resources in Russia and build some export-oriented product. That's definitely a good investment opportunity from what I see at the moment. I think another good investment opportunity in Russia is building products for sort of wider population, but they have to be very basic because the incomes are very I wouldn't say they're very low because in Africa they're lower, but they're not growing and they're decreasing, and the needs are very basic. So basic products are a good investment opportunity in Russia. If we're talking about the globe, I think that all the technologies which are connected to home are definitely now on the rise, just because of the fact that COVID is not going away, and the trends, and also just the people who now say that they wouldn't like to go back to the office full time, even if everything is over, means that there will be a whole different scenarios of how day-to-day life is built. And I think these scenarios will be way more linked to home than they used to be. And if before we just left home in the morning and they would come back late in the evening, there were very, very few functions which were specifically linked to home, especially technological functions. I think now that will be changing, and I would look into the space of how to make the day of the person who is spending it at home more fun, more interesting, more efficient. I think everything connected to this is a good bet.
Basically, on your understanding, venture capital industry plus technology and food industry What do you think? What is the next big thing in artificial intelligence? Maybe, maybe in green tech. Maybe it should be something in biotech, and plus remote work, education technologies, like in new gadgets. What it should be?
Again, I think looking from the Russian perspective, I would look into green tech for sure, and into green tech, which Russia can do, because I think Russia is very well positioned to use its potential, which is connected to clean energy, and basically exchange oil for some newer versions of energy, and again become an exporter, but sort of next level exporter. So I think I would look into this for sure, and remote work, as I said already, and not just work, but just everything connected to home.
Mm-hmm. And what is your advice for the startups? How they can survive right now?
I think advice for the startups is always the same. Just you have to. Time is the most, I think, precious resource, and once you have the team, just start with the team, and then just know that you have very, very little time, and use it as much as possible. And if you are choosing, I think it's better to choose a bigger market. The bigger the market, the more the chances.
Mm-hmm. What is your favorite food or cuisine, maybe?
I think if we're talking cuisine, then I'm simple Russian, so Italian is my favorite cuisine.
It's really interesting. And what is your advice for the actually for the female entrepreneurs? How are you like a feeling like CEO of company and female entrepreneur?
I don't know. I don't know how to be a male entrepreneur, so it's hard for me to judge whether it's any different. But for sure, I think even in Russia now we see a trend of more and more women communities, organizations, which are trying to help women founders. So I would suggest to use these networks, and also I think first just to acknowledge that you are a woman, and just not try to be a man, but just be a woman, and use the strengths connected to being a woman, rather than just neglecting that you are a woman.
Mm-hmm. Are you in Clubhouse? Do you use the social media?
No.
Okay, we send you invite. Actually, so big plus. Okay, Olga, thank you so much for this interview. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.